Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is the place where you learn new skill every time you visit. So keep updating yourself by subscribing to the channel. So guys, this is the part 2 of the if, else, else if and data types in Python. So here we are going to discuss the concept practically. So guys, I have opened the Python editor or compiler, which we have discussed in the previous video. Which is idle. So to open a program over here, I'll just put a file. I'll go to recent file and open one of the program which I used last time. Okay. So this is the program, and here I'm explaining how to use the random function, right? So as I told you in the video a few minutes before, that you have to import a file called random, right? And then this function print random.randrange is used to generate two random numbers between the range. Okay. So I have defined a function called function1 here. This all I discussed in the previous video, where all these statements are inside the scope of the function, this function1. That means they are considered inside this function. So whenever I call this function1, it's going to work. Okay. Now what it's going to do, I have stored 150 into A and 157 into B, and then I'm using the function. I'm using the module random.randrange and A comma B from here to here. Now I'll run it and show it to you. Okay, now you'll see over here that 152 is printed, right? So that means it is printing a random number between this range. If I increase the range, now we cannot control which number to print, but we can control the range. If I make it 200, and then again I'll see the run, so I'll see another number would be generated. All right, now this time it has generated 197. So this way we can control the range, but we can't control which number will be printed. Okay, and if I use this random function inside loops, okay, so it is going to print different random numbers within this particular range of 150 to 200 or whatever you specify. Now here I'll just recall for those who has not seen the previous video, I'll just recall that what does the function mean. Function is a set of code which is defined or designed to do a certain task. So here we have created a function by the name function1, and all these statements are inside this. All right. So this function has been defined. Now this function is not going to do anything unless I call it. All right. I'll just remove this column. Now let me run it. So when I run it, you see nothing is printed here. These two are the previous output. So after defining a function, we have to run it also. So running is just triggering that function, just calling that function to execute. And how to run it? Just at the end of the function, we just give the function name and it runs. All right. Now I'll show it again. That this time it's going to run. So here it is. Yeah, this time it's printing 160. So this is the way we use the function, and this is the way we call function, and this is the way we use the random function. All right. Now let's go ahead and talk about the comments. We have discussed the comments in the video a few minutes before. Now comments are statements which is used to explain the Python code, and Python compiler ignores it. Whenever it encounters the hash sign, it's going to ignore the statements after that. So we can write an English-like statement to explain my code. So here I can say, this is the starting range of random number. All right. So I can explain a code by putting a hash or a comment after the statement or before that statement. Now here I'm putting before the statement. This is the end range of the random number. And here again I can explain it at the end. This is printing random numbers within the specified range. Let me run this with the comments. So when I run this, it's not going to give me errors on those comments because Python understands that those are the comment lines. All right. So it has printed 154 this time. So this is the way we use commit in Python. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about numbers. As we discussed in the video, I'm just going to erase all these things. As we discussed in the video, Python has three types of numbers which are being used, which is the int, the double, and the complex. So, and in Python, we do not specify a data type by declaring a variable. We just store a kind of number data into a variable, and it takes the data type of that variable depending on what kind of number you are storing. For example, if I say a equals to 5, it will take that a as integer. If I take b equals to 2.5, it will take the data type of b as double. And if somehow I do c equals to 1j, it will take that as complex. Because any number, a complex number is a mathematical number which has a real and imaginary part. All right. So if you put the j at the end of any number, all right, it becomes a complex number. That we'll discuss when we come across a complex number in any of the problems. Now, I have stored all these values. Now, how will I come to know that Python has made this particular a as integer and b as double and c as complex, right? I can use my type function to see their data types. All right. So how will I use that? I'll say print then type function. Now this type function tells me the data type of the specific function. Print type of A, type of B, and print type of C. Type of C. All right. Let's run it and see how they behave. So you can clearly see over here, it tells me the first data type is integer, second is float, and third is complex. All right. Now, in any programming language, and also in Python, sometimes we need to convert from one data type to another. That's called type conversion. Now, suppose I want to convert this integer into double, or this double into integer, okay, or the complex into double. So how do I use it? So I have a function, ready-made function, which we can use for type conversion. So I declare a variable x, and I want to convert the b, which is double, into int. So I'll say int b. It will convert that b, which is double, into integer and get stored in x. Similarly, I can use other functions like if I want to convert that integer into a double, and I'll take a variable, say y equals to, I can say float of a. So this will do the conversion for that. I can also convert the complex into some integer or something into the complex. Let me convert the a again into a complex. So I'll say complex and a, right? So this is the way these type converter functions can be used to convert from one data type to another. Now, how would we come to know that actually the data type of them has changed? Actually, the b, which is in double, is converted into x, and x is an integer, right? So we have a function which tells us the type of a variable, which we have already used here. So I can similarly use this variable down below to check their current data types. All right. So I'll just copy and paste them and change the variable name to x, y, and z. So I'll change it to x, y, and z. So let's compile this. When we compile this, it gives me an output. The initial first one, that is a was integer, b was float, and c was complex. Then we converted the b to x, which is integer, and again we converted the b to, let me confirm it, we converted a to y, which was float, which shows over here, and then we converted a, that is integer, again to a complex over here and store into z and print the data type of z, right? So it shows here all the information. So this is the way we use the type converter function in Python. Now what we'll do, we'll just discuss an example of the if else in Python, right? So for that, I'll just remove the extra variables over here. I'll take two variables, A and B, and try to use the if statement here. Now, if is a conditional operator, which is the syntax is like this: if your condition and colon. So if I want to check whether A is more than B, I'll say if A more than B, colon. All right. Now, whatever comes down below here with a uniform tab distance from this tab, it automatically takes that tab as soon as you press enter. If it's not taking that tab, just press a tab and take your cursor there. Now you put a condition that if this condition happens to be true, I'll say print A is greater than B. Okay, I'll change the sign because I put the message greater than. So I'll change the sign to greater than. Right, now I'll compile this statement. So it will show no output because the condition, if I look over here, it will not give any output, any message, because if you look at the values, the A is not more than B, right? And we haven't kept any message for A less than B. So since A is not more than B, so it's not giving any message, right? Now, next we move on to the else if, or elif we call it. Now, else if or elif is used in Python to check if the first condition happens to be false, like the case here. So if this condition happens to be false, I can check another condition by putting a elif, and I can check that condition. Now, suppose here I want to check whether A is equals to B. All right. So I'll print the appropriate message over here. So print A is equal to B. Okay. Now I'll run this and check this condition. Now I'll have to make the A and B equal so that this message comes up. So I change the value of A to 100, and now when I run it, it gives me a message that A is equals to B, right? Or 100 is equals to 100. Now, suppose I want to check the less than condition, all right, as it was earlier. So I can use a third condition after else if also. I can use many else if condition in the same way, but now I'll tell you the use of else condition. Now the else condition is used when all the previous ifs has not happened to be true, or where the condition is not caught in any of the previous if. So right now A is 50 and B is 100, so it won't get caught here in this condition. This condition won't get true. Similarly, this condition also won't get true, so that will be caught in else. All right, so I'll put else here, else, and I need not to specify any condition for that, because as I told you, else will catch the condition which is not being caught by any previous ifs. So we'll say A is less than B. All right, let me check this condition. So here I run this and it gives me that 50 is less than 100. So this is the way we use if, else if, and else in Python. All right. Now let's talk about the nested if, right? Or let's first discuss the shorthand notation for this if else. So the shorthand notation for else if else is nothing, just you have to write the whole statement in one line. Suppose I want to put this condition as a shortcut notation, so I have to write it like this. In one line, I have to specify the condition and the output for that. A is greater than B. I'll make A is greater than B here by increasing the value of A to 150. So when I run it, I can check it. It says 150 is greater than 100, right? Similarly, if I have to apply else also, then how will I write in the shortcut notation? So in that case, what happens is I have to write if and else together, right? And this, the if part means the true part comes at the beginning, all right? This comes over here. Then comes the if part, and then else, and after else comes the false part or the else part. So print the false part of this condition will be A is less than B. So A is less than B. Okay, let me check this. When I run this, it gives me some, okay, I need to put that, remove that colon also. Yeah, so here it gives me 150 is greater than 100, right? Now I'll change the values so that the second, so the else part happens to be true. So I'll make it 50 and then I run it. Yeah, it says 50 is less than 100, right? So this is the shortcut way of using the if and if with else when you want to use them in a one line. This is also called conditionals or ternary operator in Python. Okay. Now next come the logical operators. Sometimes it's required or we in a problem that we have to check more than one condition together. All right. So in such cases, you have to use the operators. So I'll take one more variable C and I'll store some value over here. That's 75. All right. Or let's make it bigger, 200. And I'll put a condition if B is more than C. Or let's start with A only. A is more than B and B is more than C. Or C is more than B. Either way you write it. It's fine. B is more than C. So this AND operator joins more than one condition together, and this will happen to be true. Means the true output will only come when both conditions are true. Right now in this example, as A is 50, B is 100, and C is 200, A is not more than B, and also B is not more than C. So it's not going to print the message. Okay. So, all right. Both conditions. This will execute only when both conditions are true. I'll run this. Right now it won't execute. We'll change values and then show you the output also. Yeah, so it doesn't say anything because and none of the conditions is true. Let me make one condition true. If I make A is 150, so my first condition happens to be true, but the second condition is still false. So it's not going to execute the message. Right? No message is displayed because it will only work when both conditions are true. So now I'll make the B also bigger than, or I'll reduce the value of C to 50. So now both condition happens to be true, and when I run this, it'll give me a message, both conditions are true. Okay. So this AND operator works or gives a true output when both conditions are true. Similarly, we have an OR operator. I will just replace the AND with OR here, which gives me output where either of the conditions is true. Either of the conditions are true. Okay. Either of the condition is true. Okay, now I'll make one condition true. So I'll keep it as 200. So right now, my first condition is true, but second is not true. So I'll run it. And I'll see still it gives me the output because the first condition happens to be true. And if I make the first condition false by making it 50 and make the second condition true by increasing the value to 250. So now my second condition is true and first condition is false. Again, it will give me the output. All right. And it will also give me the output if both conditions are true. So this works with either of the condition is true or both conditions are true. And AND operator works where both conditions are true. Now, sometimes we also require that we don't want to do any output statement on being a condition true. Now, what I mean that, like if I have a condition, if A is more than B, I don't want to print anything. All right. But I need that condition because I have to do something with the else part. All right. I need something to print in the else part. I will show that A is less than B. A is less than B. Less than B. But I don't want to print in the if, anything in the if. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write a statement pass. So this pass statement actually passes that condition. Even if the condition happens to be true, it's not going to say anything. So right now A is not more than B, so it will go to the else part and tell me the result. Let's run it. So it gives me the output that 50 is less than 250, right? So it just passes the first statement and just directly goes to the else. Now let me put a condition. Let me put the value so that the first condition happens to be true. That means A happens to be more than B. So I'll make A as 350. All right. Now let's see what happens because we have used pass along with the if, so it should not do anything. All right. Yeah, it's not showing any message as output, so it's passing up the statement. So this pass statement is useful sometimes in such situations when we don't want to do anything after putting a condition. All right. Now the last thing is our nested ifs, right? So now nested ifs are ifs inside if, as the name says. If I'm putting 2, 3 ifs, one inside another, that's called nested. So let's put, if I put one other condition over here, if A is more than B and if B is more than C, all right, then I can print a message. A is largest. All right, and I'll remove all of the things and let's check this condition. When I run this, tell me 350 is largest, right? So this is nested if when you are checking one condition, another inside condition. So this way, you are checking here the second condition inside another. You can this way check third, fourth conditions also along with one of the ifs. All right, and you can even have all the liberty to use else here, or you can use else here. That depends on the question. So we'll discuss all these when we are going to discuss the problems of if and else. So that's it for today's video. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to this channel, because once you subscribe, then only I come to know that you're liking the videos and want more videos, and I can produce more video on the same series. Thank you very much for your time. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe it. Also press the bell notification so that you get notification as soon as I release a new video. Share and like the video.